Welcome to Thinking Green. I'm Rana, and I'm here today with Diane Hansen, a fellow Riverside Park Conservancy member.
Hello.
A board member. And we're going to talk about Riverside Park and maybe generally about open space, especially in some parts of New London that where it's not really necessarily taken care of very well. So welcome, Diane.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So we're going to start because there are a couple of things that are coming up over the next few weeks, and hence the timing of this show. And what is happening this Saturday, there's a citywide cleanup. All kinds of neighborhoods were in the list, and Hodges Square wasn't in the list, but fortunately the form said, choose your own neighborhood. So we're having an event in Hodges Square and Cole Street where a pollinator garden was planted about 2 months ago. It's doing really well. It's got a lot of blank spaces still because the plants haven't filled up their spaces, but we'll have before and after pictures to show. But we have a cleanup of Hodges Square, pickup, garbage pickup, and also planting. So come join us. And you were in on a planting 2 months ago.
Yes, it was hard work.
We lucked out though because it kind of rained on us. It wasn't as hot as it got since, and the plants, in spite of the drought that we've had since then, have really done well. And on that flyer you see, the plants on the left, the goldenrod and the aster, were plants we planted last time. And this time I think we do have more asters, but we're also adding the plants on the right, which are a kind of, I don't remember what the common name for zizia is, Golden Alexander. I think we might have planted one last time that was just kind of hanging around, but we have another 5. And on the right, there's Baptisia, which is false indigo, I think. You can kind of see the color scheme is like yellows and blues.
Yes, apparently you're influenced by Ukraine.
I don't really have any idea, but for some reason, when looking through plant lists, yellow and blue came up. And we got started that project because there used to be a group called New London Pollinator Pathway that operated out of St. Francis House. And viewers probably know that about a year ago, a little over a year ago, St. Francis House dissolved. And one of the accounts that they wanted to empty out was not really a lot, a few $100s, that was dedicated to planting a pollinator garden. Mm-hmm. So we decided Cole Street would be the place.
Yes, and the neighbors appear to be happy, and the plants are thriving, and it's really, really attractive to drive by or walk by.
Yeah.
And I can't attest to whether any pollinators have been there, but I would love to see a bunch of beehives in the area.
I saw some pollinators when I was weeding today. Ironically, there are some volunteer chicory plants, which are kind of weeds, but they're natives and they're blue. And our volunteer chicory plant had a large bee on it.
Nice.
So there's at least one pollinator in there.
Excellent.
So we'll talk more about that project later on. But I wanted to kind of go into the pictorial history of Riverside Park, because it's an old park. It's,
Yes.
The land started being consolidated in the 1890s, and it grew for a few decades after that. And I really, now, did you live in the area before the 60s? You didn't
No.
either. Yeah,
82. I moved
82,
here
okay.
in 82.
That's not that different. We moved here in, I think, 78. So we missed New London before urban renewal and before, the double Gold Star Bridge and all that. So I really wish I had seen Riverside Park then, because people we know that grew up here talk about picking huckleberries in the area that's now Coast Guard Academy grounds.
Yeah, that land taking I fail to understand, but there it is. The park is smaller now, but the park is still magnificent. A Victorian walking park. Apparently people in the Victorian age could walk up and down hills, because I know I can't.
Yeah, and that fountain that was in the first postcard, these are old postcards, and there are actually a lot of old postcards. The base of that circle is still there. You can see a circle of rocks about 20 feet in diameter on that grassy area right at the entrance of the park.
Right on Adelaide and Crystal?
Yeah, if you go in, kind of over where the empty field looks like, people play, but you can still see some rocks that are, pretty big. They look quarried, maybe 7 or 8 inches by, a foot and a half. They look like the perimeter of a circle. So I don't know when the park lost that particular, fountain. And needless to say, there is no longer a pond in Riverside Park. But I think it's interesting that it used to be a camping park. And
I think that's an interesting future use, is to have it as an RV camp, an RV parking.
I think they feel the same way about Bates Woods too, that it could be a good camping plan.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, there's so much around here to attract visitors, but we don't seem to want to accommodate visitors. And all kinds of visitors could be in the parks, in Bates Woods and in Riverside Park. Give them hookups, make sure that we take care of their waste, and it could be a revenue stream. But then they'd have to hire somebody to take care of it, and the city seems resistant to hiring people.
Yeah, I think the funny road network in the park is sort of a remnant of when there were campsites along the little side roads.
That makes sense.
When we were looking at for newspaper articles about Riverside Park back 15 years ago, trying to get a hold on its history, there was one article that City Council had set a camping rate in the 1930s of like 50 cents a night.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, we'd charge more now.
Yeah, we would. But yes, it could be a camping park. It's pretty large. It's got beautiful views, and there are some areas of the park that are underutilized. So maybe a thought for the future.
Yeah. Bring in a brush hog and park those RVs. Could be fun.
So if you go to the park now, we do have a park map on the kiosk. That's one of the things the Riverside Park Conservancy purchased, and it does have a lot of interesting areas. Maybe we can talk. The basketball court is still there. It's still used. dare I complain, that it has not been renovated or restored the way other basketball courts have been in the city. And I think it does get pretty much as much use as the other courts in the city.
Well, it's the only one close to a lot of people who live in the area. So yes, it gets a lot of use. The park gets a lot of use. There are a lot of dog walkers. There are a lot of walkers. People who can make it up the hills, which I no longer can. But there's a nice parking area. People eat lunch there.
And the road is paved all the way down to
Yep.
the bottom of Adelaide, which took a while, but I'm really glad because it means that it can be a lunch spot again.
Yeah, and there's driving access, there's walking access, there's bike access. It's the only nice big park in Northeast New London, and it's kind of a hidden gem. A lot of people don't know about Riverside Park. They don't even know where it is. So I'm grateful that we've been doing this down by the Riverside Festival for 15 years.
Yeah, it started in 2011, before the referendum.
So COVID stopped us for a couple of years, but we're back doing the festival, and it's September 13th, right?
Yep.
Yep. So coming right up. We have food and entertainment, a magician. We'll have Dennis
more
and
to be determined.
More to be determined. We'll see what happens, but it's always a lovely time for families. We have a nice gazebo that Riverside Park Conservancy contributed, and it's just a really, really pleasant, shaded park that's not like the other parks in the city. It's unusual. It's kind of a place of its own. I hope Bates Woods Park is going to be similar, but right now Bates Woods isn't as shaded.
Right.
You know, we have one of the Sandy Hook Memorial playgrounds in Riverside Park, and it's a magnet for little kids. It's a really, really nice playground. Very safe, and lots of stuff to do there.
And in the shade.
And in the shade.
And that's something that we learned was, you know, most places that have access to water or are close to water are not shaded, you know, especially, you know, if you're looking along our, you know, New London's long coastline, along the river you get some shade, but along the Sound there really isn't much. So yeah, it's you know, when I take pictures, I'm always so impressed. I'm a really mediocre photographer, but you kind of can't ruin pictures of Riverside Park. And when we had the kiosk installed, and I have to do a shout out to Public Works on that, it arrived, I don't know, for like near Election Day, about, I don't know, 6 years ago. And by Veterans Day, Public Works had installed it. So, but the vendor we bought it from, it was just a small business, and he asked for a photo once it was installed. And I sent him a photo, and he said, "That's such a spectacular spot."
It certainly is.
But I think we New Londoners are sometimes jaded about some of those spots that are not, you know, I don't know, that especially if they're not in a fancy part of town, we don't expect to find beauty all over the place in the city, and it is.
Yeah, well, Northeast New London is not the fancy part of town, but it's a really, really nice neighborhood. I really like living there.
Except it's so hilly.
Well, yeah, it's lovely because there's so many things that you can walk to if you can walk downhill.
Oh,
But getting home is a challenge.
yeah, well, in a way it would be easier, I guess, if you're walking up first and then the
Yes.
way home we're downhill.
But that is not the case. There are a lot of hills, yep. But William Street has a lot of nice businesses, And shout out to all of them. Especially shout out to Rico Chow, who has helped us out. We have plein air painters at our festival in September, and then we have an art show of their art in October, and Rico Chow has been the venue for our art show. We have an opening, and we have a nice buffet that they provide, and a lot of chat and a lot of beautiful artwork that's for sale. So I'm looking forward to that also.
Me too, and we sent out a notice to artists about, I don't know, the beginning of August, and a few have RSVP'd, and we have a few that come back every year, and they don't live in New London. And the first year, some of them, they were at the show. I think maybe 2012 might have been the first year we had artists, and it was sort of calculated. Joan Cooper kind of came up with that idea to invite artists because there's so much there. Keeping in mind that at that time, Riverside Park was still in kind of rough shape. Mm-hmm. And most of the artists didn't come from New London. Most of them live in, shoreline towns, from Stonington to the
Other shoreline
Connecticut.
towns. We are a shoreline town.
We are. Although the North End doesn't always feel like it, but so the artists come basically from the Rhode Island border through the Connecticut River area, and they just love coming. We have lunch for them. We give them a venue to show their art. Some sit and paint, some walk around and just enjoy the music and take pictures and do the paintings at home. We don't check up on them. But it's really nice art, and if you look at some of their paintings, you can see how the park has changed over the last decade or so.
And if you're an artist, you can contact us, riversideparkconservancy.org.
Yeah, and info gets forwarded to board members, so it isn't just on one of us to make sure we notice it.
And if you're an artist and you don't want to sign up, you can just bring your paints and come paint on the day, September 13th.
We
And
like to know ahead of time because we order food, but you don't have to. We don't. There's no punishment for people who decide to come at the last minute.
artists of all ages. We'll have art supplies there so that if you want to take some paper and colors and go and draw something, you're welcome to, and we'd love to see it and take a picture for the website.
And you weren't the one asking about it, but Kathy Strother, who's also on our board, was talking about rock painting, and I have found some rocks at my house that were in a bucket left over from another rock painting activity.
And they're just begging to be painted?
They are begging to be painted. So rock painting, or we have all different media. We have, acrylic paint for the rocks, and outdoor Mod Podge to put on it. But we also have paper, watercolors, markers, crayons, pencils, pastels, whatever, and lots of clipboards, so the kids can walk around and draw whatever they want. So back to the park. We have some recent pictures, and those I changed some of the ones we had shown in past years. I must say, I looked at them this time and it's like, oh, that doesn't look like that anymore. But some of them, some things. So that's the entrance. That has not changed much. The circle was to prevent flooding on the street. Not the most, in my opinion, artistic water garden I've seen, but that's the entrance to the park. And I think some people do pass by on Crystal Avenue and they see it, and they have no clue that if you go up that curvy road, like how much you see back there.
Right. If you go up that curvy road, you'll be in a beautiful wooded park.
So the next picture, so this is a recent picture, and I took it yesterday, I think, or maybe even this morning. So this is the view from Stanner Street, and you can kind of see this area 10 years ago, 11 years ago, was pretty much full of Japanese knotweed. And gradually we've been planting better plants. It is not a cultivated garden, but I took the picture from this way, partly because you can see the view. You can see the river in the back. You can see the gazebo straight ahead, kind of tiny, and to the left. You can sort of see the Emily's Shady Spot playscape, but you can also see the path, and we are in the process of making paths through these pollinator plantings, which are mostly native plants, striving to be a vast majority. And it's just an interesting place that has changed over the years, but if the picture went to the right a little bit, you'd see there's still a lot of knotweed and still a lot of area. But one thing I am planning to do for this on September 13th is lead a walk through this area so we can talk about the challenges and, you know, the successes of trying to restore landscapes that have been overtaken by invasive plants. And there's one more picture, and just of the area near the river. I think that the city does have more plans for it than have been done to date or are showing in this photo. I think the goal is to make it a performance space. It's kind of informal. There are big boulders you can sit on. I don't think it's well utilized at this point, but Adelaide Street, for a few years after this project was started, was paved as far as Eastern Avenue, and then millings down below it that were not at all graded. And I must admit, I drove on it once and felt a scrape on the bottom of my car and never drove down again.
Don't blame you.
But it has, over the last 6 months or so, gotten paved. And when Diane mentioned a lunchtime spot, this used to be a place that we'd always see city employees eating lunch. Barbara Dixon or Judy Cox, you'd want to see, you go to Riverside Park, you know, lunch hour, and they'd be there. So yeah, it's still a beautiful spot.
It is.
So the other thing, so that the pollinator pathway, I wanted to talk a little bit, though I don't have pictures, about the idea. You mentioned, you know, the pavilion area needs more going on, and we have been thinking about it. So do you want to talk about our trip to Bloomfield a couple months ago?
Oh, well, another feature of Riverside Park is that there's a very large pavilion down the hill from Jennings School, from Winthrop School. And there's an area across from that it used to have playground equipment, which was taken out probably 15, 20 years ago. And wisely, because it was really decrepit. But it is the playground equipment that my kids used to play on when they were at day camp there. So good memories. But there's an area across from the pavilion that is in need of some ideas and some activity. And we went to Bloomfield to a 4-H camp, and they had just used what they had. So they have logs lying on their sides, you know, just fallen trees that are they don't have branches hanging off of them, but it's something that you can walk on and climb on and roll on. And then they have sections of trees that you can jump on. And I mean, it's very, very simple, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, we actually had a lot of fun. I mean, there's a climbing net that's strung between two trees, and there are some like sensory table kinds of things that had rocks or little sections of tree branches, or things that kids could just I don't remember if there was something there you could put water in to play in, but it just looked like a place that you could have a lot of fun. A New Londoner went there with his kids and said, my kids who are youngish, young elementary age, or maybe not all even quite elementary age, had a blast. And it was an area probably about the same size as what's across from the pavilion. And although we love the Sandy Hook playscape, if a family's having a picnic on the pavilion, the terrain of the park is such that you cannot supervise a child on that playscape. You can't see it unless you're very, very tall.
Right, so we would like to have some activity for younger people and even older people across from the pavilion, so that the adults can stay in the pavilion and do their thing, and the kids can go across and have some stupid fun in the other area, in the play area. And we want to keep it simple and natural, and I'm pretty excited about working with the city to get that area cleared and mulched with bark mulch, and then just lay down some trees and put up some climbing things and see what happens. You never know. People might love it or they might hate it, but we accept feedback from both sets of people.
I don't expect much hate. Maybe a little.
Maybe a little confusion. What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
But I think, the wonderful thing about children is when you put them in a place like that, they're like, oh, I know what to do here.
Oh yeah,
I can climb. I can walk on a log.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, we took down a tree in our house, like I think about 3 years ago, an old Norway maple. It was not healthy, but we still have pieces of the tree, like the bottom part, which are, like 24-inch rounds. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, we can cut it into like 3-inch sections and put stepping stones to walk all around, have a pathway around it. I don't know. But I think it would be really nice as an addition, because that area tends to get weedy, and one of the weeds is poison ivy. So it really can't be used well as it is, and just it would extend that whole north end as a recreational choice for families.
Right, and it's still going to be a shady spot. And it's going to be breezy because you can catch the wind off the thames. So I think it's going to be lovely when we get that going. Baby steps.
Yeah, the first step is there has been an initial brush hogging in the area to be able to see the scope and what the size is. But I think it'll be in September that we'll get a landscaping professional person to work on making it a chipped surface that won't grow more weeds, because we want that play area to be weed-free. We can have planted islands, but we don't want poison ivy to start crawling back.
No, we really don't.
We really don't.
That just seems cruel. Come play in our poison ivy.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Unless we're going to have a herd of goats there too.
I would love to have a herd of goats. We owned goats way back, like, 50 years ago.
Oh.
A long time ago, in the 70s. But they need a place, you know, a house if they're not going to be, if they're going to stay there. So I don't know. I'm not ready to build a barn yet. We'll see.
That's okay.
But one thing about the park, which, you know, visitors probably notice, and we certainly notice, is it does need upkeep. It's a complicated park.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess I'll get on a little soapbox about what the city's priorities are, and maintenance, which is obviously not as exciting as opening new things, you know.
True.
Starting new projects, having a new park, having a new recreation center. I mean, those things make newspapers coverage, and maintenance really doesn't. But Riverside Park, as well as Bates Woods Park, and probably the other parks around the city as well, it's really a stretch for the city to maintain them all with the lack of priority it gets in the budget.
Right. They say they have limited resources, but they're not willing to add resources. It seems to me that if you're going to complain about having limited resources so you can't take care of things, that you should rethink that.
Well, and of course, one of the things, and I do encourage people to participate in the citywide cleanup in whatever location you're interested in. We'd love to have you in Hodges Square, but there are at least a dozen other locations all through the city. But, you know, we have so many volunteer groups that work on, like New London Trees, the Beautification Committee, our Park Conservancy, the fledgling Bates Woods Friends Forever group. There are a lot of groups and a lot of volunteers around town that are doing maintenance and beautification work.
Save Ocean Beach.
Oh yeah, I knew I was missing someone, and I think I'm still missing someone. But Alewife Cove has started a conservancy as well, which is on both sides of Alewife Cove. But
super.
They're working on trying to get Alewife back by doing something with the dam. So we have a lot of groups that do this on a volunteer basis, but volunteers can't really do what employees do. New London used to have a volunteer fire department, and I know a lot of, especially rural towns in Connecticut, still have a lot of volunteers. I understand and agree that you want your firefighters to be professional, but we don't do that with our public works. We let a lot of motivated amateurs, but people who might have knowledge but don't have access to all the tools, doing a lot of the work, and it's not easy to keep up with.
Well, and it's not appropriate to rely on volunteers to do the job that taxpayers are depending on the city to do. Part of paying taxes is expecting that I'll have fire when I'll have a fire department answering me, or an ambulance or a police, and I have my garbage picked up, and my sidewalks and streets and parks maintained. That's just part of my expectation as a taxpayer. And I'm not complaining about my taxes. They're high, anything more than $1 is high. So I'm going to pay my taxes, but I also expect something in return. And I don't expect to have to beg for services.
And I know I've looked at city budget reports in the past, and it's not as explicit now, but one year I was looking at the proposed budget, and there was a little narrative part on the, in the beginning of each department, like the departmental goals for how to use the money they have. And, the fire department said something like, our goal is to make sure that our fire department gets the best employees, the best training, the best equipment they need to do the best job. And the police department was pretty much similar to that. We want to make sure all the employees get the training and the resources and the equipment they do to do the best job possible. And in public works, it was something like the goal was to do the best they can as cheaply as they can get away with. I mean, it was worded more tactfully than that, but it really, I'm sure the word efficiently was in that goal, that do what needed to be done with the greatest efficiency possible. So my paraphrase was unkind, but that was sort of the impression I got from it, that, a recognition that the fire department and the police department need training, need the tools, need the resources to do a good job, but Public Works would just do the best they can.
Well, I think the attitude about the Public Works employees is that they're all glorified garbage pickup. And that's really a shame, because they're very talented and dedicated people who do maintenance and park maintenance and planning, and they have a lot. They have streets, they have sidewalks, they have vehicles, they should know about landscaping, they should know about horticulture, they should know about trees, they should know about many technical things, water quality, beaches. They do a lot. They're responsible for a lot, and they're nickeled and dimed every year in the budget process. And they're, then it's like, well, we're going to cut heads now. It's just unfortunate that there's an attitude about Public Works that's, I think, inappropriate.
And one of the sad things to me is that I strongly suspect, I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, that Public Works employees have, that department has a much higher percent of employees who actually live in New London than some of the better funded departments.
I don't know, that would be an interesting thing to find out.
I believe at one time that was, I saw numbers. I haven't looked at numbers recently, but I believe it's so that Public Works employees are more likely to live in the city than some of our other departments. So it's something that, so I know the people, who, when a garbage truck passes me or a Public Works truck, they always wave. It's like they're not quite like the mailman knowing everyone in town, but they're kind of like that, because they're up and down all the streets. They really know what's going on.
Yeah.
So a plea, not just for Riverside Park, but all of our parks really need attention, because having well-kept public spaces is a really important thing that people get from living in a city and paying city taxes. So we got to the point that, we've had shows, I think, at least one about, Riverside Community Garden, which has been a bit of a saga that's gone on for about a year and a half. So this seemed like a good opportunity to update people on the community garden. Diane and I are both gardeners there.
Yes.
And it's been a wild ride.
It's been interesting. It's settling out. We'll see what happens, but it seems like the city has committed to remediating the site that the garden is going to be moved to. It's a nice site. It'll be fine. It'll be pleasant as long as the soil is appropriate for growing and as long as volunteers don't have to move all of the items that are currently in the garden. I mean, it's 42 beds.
Yeah, I think it's 48.
And
No.
that's a lot
No,
of
you know,
soil.
I think you might.
That's a lot
Yes.
of wood. We have a shed. We have mature trees, fruit trees. We have mature berry bushes. We have mature blueberry bushes. All of that needs to be moved across the street and a water connection hooked up. And
It's a big job.
the gardeners paid for the water connection the first time. I don't think that the gardeners should have to pay for the water connection after being required to move. So it's a thing. It's not just go dig a hole across the street and plant your tomatoes. It's a thing. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of planning. There's a fence that needs to be moved. It's a lot. And right now I have no idea what the plans are, except that we're going to remediate the soil by removing asphalt.
Now, we do have a slide showing what it's supposed to look like. The location is moving to that parking lot that faces Central Avenue. So it's about half a block away from the current garden
Yeah, it's
and
on
across
Adelaide
the
Street, but across the street.
And it is part of Riverside Park, unlike the current location. So I'll add what I have found out, because it seems as though recently, over the last couple months, I have to say the city's communication and Habitat's communication have gotten a lot better than it had been for a year. So soil tests were done, I guess, by a Brownsfield expert from the state, and that soil is polluted. Unfortunately, we were hoping it would be fairly clean. We thought, other spots in the park have tested clean, but old fill was found when they drilled down. So the plan is, and the city is taking responsibility for that. Tom Bombria is managing it on a very tight time frame, because that's the first thing that's going to have to be done with that new site before anything can be moved there. Not just on the parking lot, but the areas, the grassy areas on either side where we are going to have our fruit trees, not inside a fence, but accessible to the public. That area also needs to be remediated. And what was explained to me was that means they will have to dig down 2 feet and take all the soil out, all the millings out, and then put clean fill and clean topsoil on that, filling up that quite large area with clean fill and clean topsoil, so that it's safe not just to have our raised beds on top of it, but also because there are fruit trees and fruit shrubs on the grassy areas. That part will be remediated as well as the lot itself. And the time frame is they'll probably want the remediation to be finished by November 1st, and it's already mid-August. So I really appreciative. I met with Tom Bombria a couple weeks ago, and I'm really appreciative of the commitment there is to use funds that the city has access to that are specifically earmarked for brownfield remediation that can be used to help, because nothing's moving until that soil is fixed. But one of the good things is that the site will end up better than it is now. And we couldn't see it in the plan, but behind that parking area, there is a grill and there is a picnic table. They are used now rarely. If you take a walk around the grills, you can tell how much each one is used by how much ash, how much corrosion it has. And that one has, I won't say that it's never used, but it's used less frequently than most of the other grills in the park.
Right.
So we're hoping that having the garden there, having fruit trees and snack beds that are outside of the fenced area and only having a little bit of it fenced in will really make that whole area more attractive. And when we went to the Fresh block party on Saturday
Yes.
at McDonald Park, and they kind of similarly had just a fairly small fenced-in area for the community garden, and then a lot of other stuff around that was accessible to the public.
Right, very simple play equipment, snack beds for the neighbors to harvest, picnic tables. It's just a very, for a one lot size park, it's really pleasant. It's shaded, but not really shaded, so you can get shade or sun. There's stuff to do, but nothing fancy. I don't know, it's my kind of place.
Yeah, and it was put together, with Fresh and the neighbors, I want to say about a dozen years ago. So, and it's become quite lovely. I think it was just a problem corner for a long time with a couple of basketball nets and a hangout spot that didn't always attract the best kind of recreation. So now it's a great community place. So I'm gonna, we're not really short of time, but I'm gonna loop back to talking about the pollinator pathway.
Okay.
The one on Cole Street. And we have a picture of what it looked like before we started and what it looked like after our actually first and only
day.
planting day we've
we are
had
gonna
so
work on
far.
it.
So on the left is what it looked like for years. That's what I found on Google Street View from, I think, about a year ago. And it was kept mowed, usually, and burning bush, which is an invasive plant, and Japanese cherry trees that I don't think are exactly invasive, but they're not really in good shape. And the goal is to hopefully eventually transform the whole area, but we started with the one area on the, I guess it's the west side of it, and planted a tree that we got from New London Trees. It's kind of small still, but you can see it on the left. It's a black gum or a black tupelo tree that is native. It can withstand all kinds of conditions, and I think that might be the one that Tupelo honey comes from, but I'm not sure. But it'll grow to be about 30 feet tall. It's not a huge tree, but it'll shade the area. And there's just,
it's thriving. So
yeah, it's beautiful.
That's pretty impressive.
Actually, I've been the day we planted, it kind of rained on us. It was warm, but it was very damp. And it was a good planting day. I mean, the plants were happy. The people were not 100% happy, but it's better than the 90-degree planting day. So these plants, we do have a couple neighbors who come and water, but I keep thinking I'll pass by and see everything half dead, and they really look pretty good.
Yeah, I've been impressed and very pleased because I get to drive by that in my neighborhood and feel a little bit of pride, that I helped plant that, I helped organize that, and I've made a little improvement in the neighborhood. So that's kind of exciting.
And it was sort of kind of partly to correct a misguided effort in the past, because many pollinator plants were put in maybe 10, 12 years ago closer to the Hodges Square businesses, where it turned out not to be the best time, especially in COVID times when people were thinking about eating outside. And so, yeah.
Yeah, those pollinators did, in fact, attract a lot of bees. And
But-
when you're eating your meal outside and there are a lot of bees right 5 feet from you, it's not that pleasant of an
Yeah.
experience.
I don't mind, but I can see where some people would. But on Cole Street, there is no issue with that. And our goal is, if you come on Saturday, we will fill in some spots that are kind of blank in that corner, and also plant more along the parking area. There's about a 6-foot strip. Later on, we'll plant shrubs and trees to replace the burning bush and the Japanese the Japanese cherry. I don't know what we're replacing the cherry with, but I think the burning bush will get inkberry holly, which is an evergreen, which will provide a screen for those neighbors from the bridge and from the under the bridge area, which is
And it will be purposeful, which is really important, because it seemed like that area was not planted purposefully. It was sort of whatever landed there as a seed that just grew up, and everybody was like, well, that's what's here.
And Public Works now really is very enthusiastic about getting those old invasive plants out. They would have all been removed, except that the neighbors did not want it cleared before we had things to replant it. So
Right.
it'll be planted incrementally, probably over the next few years.
And that works. That, you know, if you don't want to disturb the people who live there by trying to make an improvement, which limits their enjoyment of their homes. So, yeah, I think we're tied into the neighbors, and we're tied into the neighborhood, and I think we're doing what will be a good service.
So we have probably like 3 minutes left. We have one slide that just shows a little diagram of green space in East New London. It isn't quite accurate. Green space is getting created between the old mill, the little square in the middle of the highway, and Fulton Park. And off to the right, the state boat launch. I would not consider it a green space now. But you know, a lot of people live here, and that isn't really a lot of green space. So just a pitch that we should really appreciate that green space that we have. It's a resource for a whole lot of people. You know, you can see the neighborhood around Riverside Park is pretty densely residential.
Yes, it is. We're pretty densely populated. There are a lot of walkers. There are a lot of kids. And yeah, there's not a lot of green space, but we are going to maximize what we have. I am really looking forward to the project that goes along Briggs Brook. You know, to me, that's pretty exciting to hopefully see the fence come down and see the overgrowth cleared away, so that you have a path in from the sidewalk to see Briggs Brook. Nobody really knows it's there, and it's beautiful.
It is. Even when it was overgrown, we had to clean up there once, and I saw a night heron or something. I don't know.
My.
Yeah, so there's wildlife in there.
I'm not a bird watcher, not a fan of birds, but they're necessary, and they can be beautiful.
Yeah.
But it'll be nice to feel as though it's a safe space to walk, that it's not harboring scary people or scary activities. It'll be nice to have it cleared so that there's a line of sight, and just to be able to walk along that brook and hear it and feel the breeze off of it. I think it's a wonderful project, and I'm really happy the city has chosen to do that.
Yeah, me too. And there are native plants planned for it. And even when it was all fenced in, people used to kayak up like almost to the mill down that brook. We've seen them. So that will hopefully become a better recreational area. So just a reminder of our upcoming events. Saturday, August 23rd, which is, 4 days away? 5 days away? 4.
Coming right up.
Yeah, coming right up. This weekend, 9 to 11:30 is part of the citywide cleanup. We'll be at Hodges Square. If you come right at 9, we might be right at Hodges Square. If you come a little after, we'll probably, some of us be on Cole Street and some of us picking up trash in Hodges Square. And then save the date for September 13th, 11 to 2. And
Oh my
more
goodness.
things are, there's music set, well, Dennis and Pequotzi posts, and we will be getting more things to the list. This is actually just a tentative schedule. We'll have a final flyer in about a week. So we'll see you. I don't know what I'm doing next week for this show, actually. New London Trees will be on in 2 weeks, I know that.
Excellent.
But hopefully we'll see each other in person at one of the upcoming events.
Yeah, hopefully.
And
Saturday,
thank you.
coming right up.
And thank you, Diane, for joining me.
My pleasure.
Yep.
When the rain don't fall, that's when you know you're gonna go dry. When the rain don't fall.